So welcome to another episode of Matt's Mailbox, where you guys send in your questions and I do my best to answer them. So if you'd like to get your question answered in the next episode, don't forget to leave those down in the comments section below. And to celebrate hitting 33,000 subscribers, whichever questions I do pick in the next episode, you could be in with a chance of winning yourself Battlefield 4 Premium. So jumping straight in, today's first question comes in from Marky Plus, and he asks, would you have or still like to see a Close Quarters style DLC for Battlefield 4? Well, of course, when Close Quarters first released for Battlefield 3, it was a highly debated topic. It was the first DLC in the premium calendar. Of course, prior to that, we did have Back to Karkand for anyone who pre-ordered Battlefield 3. But Close Quarters did worry a lot of people, especially as it was the first DLC in the premium calendar. The very small infantry-focused maps were not to everyone's liking, and very arguably, they weren't in the Battlefield style. There were no vehicles, no aircraft, just very small, almost Call of Duty style maps. Now, for a long time, we had people on either side of the fence. Some people really enjoyed Close Quarters. They said it added a new aspect to the game, something different that we hadn't seen in Battlefield before. And as we expected, some people loathed it. It was something they didn't want to see in a Battlefield game. Now, for me personally, I couldn't make my mind up. For a long time, I really didn't enjoy that DLC. I couldn't get used to the maps, I couldn't get used to the game modes, and I never did very well. But over time, it actually probably became my favourite DLC. And interestingly, if you go back to Battlefield 3 now, it's probably still one of the most populated DLCs in the game. And that is of course because it's pick up and play value. That DLC allowed you to jump on a map for maybe 10-15 minutes, rack up a lot of kills, a lot of points, and of course have a lot of fun. So you can see why DICE included that in the game, to not only try and bring across the Call of Duty crowd, but it also added a new aspect to Battlefield. It allowed you to pick up the game and only play for a very short time, but have maximum amount of fun. So for me personally, it probably turned out to be my favourite DLC in Battlefield 3. But with all that said, I can see why we haven't seen a Close Quarters DLC in Battlefield 4. Of course, we already have the Domination game mode brought across from Close Quarters, practically available in every single map in Battlefield 4 already. Very small, infantry-focused game modes on very small maps. Now, a lot of you guys have asked, why haven't you brought back the series The Duel alongside Westy? And this is one of the reasons. When we used to do that series on Battlefield 3, we used to always do it on Close Quarters DLCs, because it guaranteed very quick, exciting, and easy to capture gameplay. Now on Battlefield 4, playing Domination on the maps that are already in the game just doesn't offer that same ability, so at the moment it's got to be said that Domination on Battlefield 4 just doesn't seem to work as well as it did on Close Quarters in Battlefield 3. Now this all boils down to a factor that I've spoke to you guys about before, the fact that Battlefield 4 is a jack of all trades and master of none. With Battlefield 3, we saw a Close Quarters DLC that was completely driven and focused around the idea of infantry combat. Now in Battlefield 4, all we see with Domination is just smaller snippets of larger maps, and all of these maps have tried to be designed so you can play every single game mode on one map, and because of that, it doesn't always work the best way. So seeing these maps that are specifically designed for a type of gameplay always does work out better. But it is something we're slowly starting to see in Battlefield 4. Of course, the recent release of Naval Strike sees a DLC that's completely focused around naval combat. So it looks like in future we could get some DLCs that are a little bit more focused around a certain playstyle. Now, of course, we already know we aren't going to be getting a Close Quarters 2 style DLC, but it is definitely something I would enjoy seeing. Seeing DLCs that are focused entirely around the game mode or game style they're meant to be portraying would mean we would definitely get a much more enjoyable Domination experience. Now, the final question for today comes in from ZenX Plays, and he asks, do you think Star Wars Battlefront should be a strictly FPS game to appeal to the Battlefield crowd? Now, I want to get your opinions down in the comments below, guys, because Star Wars Battlefront isn't a game I have huge experience with, so for any of you guys who have played it a lot more than myself, I want to hear from you down in the comments below. Now, from what I do remember of Star Wars Battlefront, it used to be a first and third person game, but of course, being on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox, it was mainly an offline game. You didn't usually play on multiplayer, which meant having first person and third person wasn't really an issue. But of course, if it's going to be a massive multiplayer game on the next generation consoles as we expect, having first person and third person can cause an issue. If we take a look at DayZ, for example, a game that offers both perspectives, it can make it very unfair. Of course, Using the third person angle gives you a massive advantage. You can see around corners, over walls, and it makes it easier to play and probably easier to win. And of course, with a game like Star Wars, we can expect to see a variation in weapons. We're going to get melee weapons like lightsabers, but we're also going to get guns as well. So having a lightsaber battle in first person could prove a little bit clunky. So you can see why in the original games they did have the mixture of first person and third person. But of course, for a multiplayer game of the next generation, having those mixture of different viewpoints could prove a little bit difficult. Now, of course, we don't want to stray away too far from the original Battlefront game. Star Wars is probably the biggest franchise on the planet, and we don't want to stray away from the crowd who enjoy that game. So making it a strictly FPS game could actually really piss some people off and push away the original Star Wars crowd. So I think we're going to have to see a mixture of first person and third person, but how that's organised and orchestrated is going to be interesting to see. We might see something similar to DayZ, where we have first person only servers and third person only servers to try and make the game a little bit more balanced. Now, as I said, I haven't got huge experience with Star Wars, so forgive me if I am wrong on any of that, but if you did play Star Wars, I would love to hear your opinion down in the comments below. Now, if you did enjoy today's episode, please don't forget to hit like. It does massively help me out, and I really do appreciate all of your likes and feedback. And of course, if you want to get your question answered in the next episode, don't forget to leave those down in the comments section below. But in the meantime, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.